application in front of you, even if you're going to use an e-app, I always recommend have a paper app with you. That way you can see all the questions on one page. What you'll also find in these packets, we're going to talk about not only our final expense, but my prime term to 100, which is a graded death benefit term. It will replace most of your AIG guaranteed issue products.
Really?
Yes. So we'll talk briefly about that.
Cool.
I'm going to focus on the traditional final expense. But what I do want to point out in your packet here, paper rate guide. Like, if you are fearful you may not have cell service or something like that, carry one of these. But more importantly, the prescription list. Because as we all know, prescriptions can drive the decision up or down really fast. So I always recommend that you keep, a couple things in your tool bag. But I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for letting us come share your conference today. My name is Candice Dawson. I'm Director of Agent Support with Prosperity Life Insurance Group. So is anybody contracted with Prosperity yet? Whoa, I've probably talked to some of you on the phone before. Like, no doubt. So that's awesome. That's incredible. So hopefully at this point you've at least heard of New Vista. If you haven't already sold one. Who has already sold a New Vista? Awesome. What's your name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Nice to meet you.
You too.
All right. Well, let me just dive right in here. Hopefully, even if you've sold the product already, I can teach you a couple things that maybe you didn't realize. Yes, sir.
I just got a plan with you guys, but before I got appointed, I actually sent the business. Is that a problem?
Did you have a writing number? We'll figure it out.
The next day.
Okay.
And then everybody
If we get that writing number, so typically with getting contracted, so your immediate upline will send you a web link, right? I'm sure most of you are familiar. You click the link, it's an online online contract, just fill in the blanks. Usually, depending on what states you've requested, it takes 24 hours to get a writing number. So it's a very quick turnaround if you're in what we consider a just-in-time appointment state. Tennessee is a just-in-time appointment state. We have 5 that require some legwork before we give you a writing number. Pre-appointment states, Georgia, Alabama, Pennsylvania, Florida. There's a couple other states, Utah, a couple other. Louisiana is one that we have to do the contracting process, so we have to pull your credit report, we have to run a background check before we can give you a writing number. We don't actually have to let the state appoint you first. So it gets a little convoluted with the contracting, but in most of the states, like I said, I think there's 6 total. We have to do legwork beforehand. In most states, it's just in time. So that means we actually give you a writing number, we let you go write the business, and then when we get that first piece of business, we run through everything else and get you fully contracted. So, good question. I'm going to leave my business cards. If you have any trouble, call me. I'll figure it out for you. No problem we can't solve sometimes. So just a little bit about Prosperity Life Group. I know that's going to be small for a lot of you. The major brands that you'll write with is the SUSA. So you'll see that brand at the top of the application. There are 3 companies that we own. Shenandoah Life was kind of a pioneer in the final expense space about 15, 20 years ago. Had some financial struggles, but Prosperity actually came in, got them out of receivership, and now we have been selling Medicare Supplement under Shenandoah Life for the last 4 years. SBLI USA is our New York company, so if any of you are actually selling in the state of New York, you'll be selling the SBLI Golden Promise product, which is identical to the New Vista, but it is only available in New York. So the group of companies together, Prosperity is not your actual insurance company, it's your marketing brand, it's your group company.
Is Shenandoah, is that the one based out of Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Okay.
I was hired actually as a Shenandoah Life employee 7 years ago, and it was still coming out of, well, it was just past receivership. Prosperity Life had just bought it,
okay,
and then we acquired SBLI and SUSA out of New York afterwards. So
Roanoke area?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, we still have an office in Roanoke.
Okay.
Growing, we're hiring. If you know anybody? I'm trying to hire another marketing rep. So, but we also have a home office in New York, and then The entire marketing team is, I'm in North Carolina, my boss is in Texas, we have somebody in Chicago, like we're all over the place.
Cool.
So.
Do y'all have annuities as well? Or no?
We do. Right now they're just in New York and being sold through bank channels under SBLI. So if you see that on our website, there are a whole lot of other products that are just sold through banks in New York because that's their primary source there. So I'm going to start with just the big stuff, the highlights, like why New Vista Final Expense. I also brought some of these really nice large trifolds that you can leave behind if you guys want to take some of these with you. The New Vista plan offers the level, the graded, and the modified all in one. So depending on the health concerns of your client, and we'll walk through the application itself too, hopefully we have a plan that will actually fit their needs. The beauty of it is we pay the same commission level. We don't give you a haircut on commission whether you sell the graded or the modified. We also don't give you a haircut on the age. So the product runs 50 to 80, all three plans, and the commission levels just don't change. You get one commission schedule, and that's it. We consider the product very diabetic friendly. We don't ask any questions about how much insulin do they take, when was the age of onset. We do ask if there are complications, and that would put them into a modified category. What you'll find is that it's pretty lenient. It's gonna give probably 90% of your diabetics a level plan. Smoker rates based on cigarette usage only.
Yeah, that's
So that's
big.
big. So if they are pipe smoker, cigar, cannabis here in some
What if they're
states,
ripping a bong hit right in front of you?
you know what? If it's not a cigarette, we don't care.
Okay.
We didn't ask. We don't care. Great question. So that's a big one. And it's only in the last 12 months, right? So if they quit over 12 months ago, then good to go.
Yeah.
Social Security billing. Anybody ever have problems with drafting? Okay. We will sync their payments up to the Social Security calendar so that we make sure we hit their account the moment that Social Security puts money into it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
So we give you some options on that. Sorry, I probably should have stood over there.
That's okay. You're fine.
On that question,
Yeah,
are you penalized by the amount of Social Security billing you put through?
absolutely not. We love Social Security billing. It keeps it on the books.
It keeps it on
We
the
can
books.
get the draft. We love it.
Yeah. Direct Express card is the credit card.
All right. What
We
about
take Direct Express.
But do you pay, I think his question was like,
No
you penalize
haircut.
on that?
Well, we don't pay advances.
Is there like a certain limit to your
No,
business that it can
absolutely
be? 'Cause some
not.
carriers, it's only like 20%.
We will
30%.
never threaten
Okay.
to terminate or reduce your commissions on how you submit your business. That's up to you. Whatever works for you works for us.
And under what circumstances, since you mentioned it, what circumstances do you terminate an agent? I mean, what do they cut? I mean, what's the no-no?
Lack of production is the #1 reason. So if you don't sell for us, we won't keep paying your appointment fees. That's the #1 reason an agent gets terminated. If you're just bad agent behaviors, like you're not disclosing things you should disclose, you're not explaining the policies, you're having a huge lapse or cancellation rate, then yeah, we're going to look at your block of business. But it is so rare that somebody gets terminated, honestly, if they're not doing something wrong for any other reason than lack of production.
Okay.
So we're not, even if you send us 80% graded and modified, we're not going to terminate you. I mean, and we'll keep paying these same commission rates, so you'll make more money off of it.
Yeah.
So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome, great. So, Social Security billing, that's huge. We got that right last year, early last year. So we've had that right over 12 months now. The persistency with Direct Express cards has tripled because if we can get that money on the day of their deposit. And looking over the last year, over the calendars, it was like 8 months out of 12 that the first or the third would hit on a non-business day.
Yeah.
So this came into play a lot over the course of the last year. All right, so let's see, 44 states, so Connecticut, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, South Dakota. We do not sell our final expense plan in. New York is on that list. We actually do sell final expense in New York. It's just called Golden Promise. It's sold under SBLI, so it's a different product type. It is available. We do pay your commissions as often as daily. We can do daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you like. With direct deposit, we won't send you a paper check every day, so if you want daily, you have to utilize direct deposit. And then multiple application options, we'll go through those here in just a second. The one that you're going to love the most is the e-application.
What about replacement forms? If they're not replacing the policy, you got to fill out a replacement form or not?
Depends on the state.
Okay.
So it's state specific.
I think South Carolina requires it.
There are several states that do, and in this fact sheet there may be a forms list, and it will tell you which state. I'm not sure if it's in this or it might be in the agent guide, which I didn't print for you. Sorry. All the resources are on the website, and I'm going to leave business cards so we can always figure it out for you if you have a question about it. Kentucky is one. You have to do a replacement form every time. I don't know why. These states make crazy rules. Don't ask me.
Does Kentucky allow replacement of existing coverage?
Actually, no. Kentucky and Kansas both. I think they don't allow any replacements.
Okay.
Maybe they're the two I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because there's contestability differences in the company, so okay.
Yes. Yeah. So just be familiar with your state regulations. Otherwise, no replacement form needed if they're not replacing. Our agent portal is kind of easy to use. I think it looks really clean when you first log in. This is just like a demo account. The main things that you need every single day are right in the middle of your screen. So quote engine, you can run any products that are available to you. So like I said, we're going to talk about New Vista, prime term to 100. Applications will actually link you to the e-application. So if you're trying to figure out like where was that link that was in my welcome email, that link to Aptical is here, and it's also under new application. You would just do final expense, and it's going to pop you into the live app portal for the e-app. So again, that's just a quick, I just wanted to give you a kind of a snapshot of what the agent portal looks like. I feel like it's easy to navigate. Resources is a big one. This is where you're going to download all of your application kits if you want to just download a paper one to look at. All your marketing materials, brochures, and things are here. There's a supply order form if you want to order brochures or any type of gift leave behinds. It's all right.
Is there a sandbox you can test out the application and all that?
No, and we get that a lot. It's something we've asked for the last year and a half, is to have a test site for the e-app, and it's hard to build that because it ties to so many databases. We use LexisNexis to check ID. We tie into a prescription check database, MIB. It's hard to build something that's testable when it needs data. It has to feed from something. So Aptical is working on it for us. I wish I could say we'll have it in 6 months, but I just don't know. We continue to ask for it because we get the request all the time. So we're trying. Good question now. If you decide you're going to recruit and you're going to contract a downline, that's done right through your agent portal. You'll build them a web link just very similar to the one that you receive from your upline. Our commission levels are fully customizable, so you literally can just build your own schedule. It's very unique. I don't think any other carrier is doing that. All three of our writing companies are AM best rated A-, excellent. So that's a really nice point to sell with when you're in the home. Even better, how about a 10% cash bonus? So we know that most of these carriers are doing trips and cruises and all of these things, but it's really nice to have a quarterly bonus so that if you want to take some cash with you when you're going on these lovely cruises and trips, this is a great way. We don't cap this, so we do require $20,000 minimum settled, so it has to be on the books and stay on the books for 30 days. It's got to get through its free look period. We just started over February 1st. So we're going to run that through the end of April and then start it over again for 3-month periods. So this is a 10% back. This runs on both New Vista and the prime term, which is why I wanted to talk to you about that product today as well. And so like I said, minimum $20,000 in that 3 months, and we'll send you a check for 10% back. The question I get all the time is, well, when do these actually pay? So because we wait and we let that business actually stay on the book for 30 days, so we'll be paying the first, well, so last year we did the same thing and we ended the period right at the end of January. We are just now getting ready to cut the checks from last period. So you have to wait a whole month after the period. Just a full disclosure, it takes a little bit, but that's because we do truly look at settled business. Questions on the bonus? Pretty easy. Okay, so new Vista final expense. I think I already mentioned issue ages are 50 to 80. That's on the level of the graded and the modified. It runs all the way up to 121, so I mean, good luck with that one expiring. 75 on the accidental death benefit rider. That can be added to all 3 plan types. So I know some carriers won't let you do ADB on graded or modified. We say bring it on. Face amounts all the way down to $1,500. So for those clients that can only afford $15 a month, but they still want to get some coverage, we let you go all the way down to $1,500, up to $35,000. I think we already talked about it's simplified issue. It is smoker distinct, so you're going to have tobacco, non-tobacco rates, but it's based on cigarette usage only. That's huge. That's big. Somebody asked us the other day. I thought this was a creative question. My client uses pipe tobacco to roll his own cigarettes. And I was like, okay, but you kind of answered your question. If he's rolling a cigarette, yes, he's a smoker. So I thought that was kind of cute. I love the creative ways that agents are trying to play around it. But it's only in the last 12 months. So if they quit smoking 13 months ago, they haven't had a cigarette since, they're a non-smoker. Based on issue age, so age at issue, not age nearest. So if they're having a birthday tomorrow, you better get that app in quickly, get it in quickly. We can save age up to, I think, 30 to 45 days. So if they had a recent birthday and they want to back pay that premium, they'll probably have to make 2 premium payments, but we can do that. Issue age, gender, so there's male, female rates, and they're fixed, so they're not going up throughout the lifetime of the contract. This is a whole life plan, so the rates are not going to change on them. Premiums, like we talked about briefly, so we can do bank draft. We do pay advances on bank drafts. Debit cards tied to bank accounts or direct express cards. Any type of plastic payment, we do not advance on. So if they use plastic, we don't pay an advance on it. We pay that as earned, but we do take it all the way down to the monthlies. Direct bill, we don't offer monthly. It won't stick. I mean, if they want to write a check for it, have them pay the whole year. All right, so policy fee is commissionable. That's kind of different. Not a lot of carriers are paying the commission on the policy fee. It's $40 a year. It's built into the quoting tool. So when you run the quote through the agent portal, it's going to build that $3.60 into it, so you don't have to do any additional math. Underwriting, we look at their answers to the health questions, which are on the apps in front of you. The MIB and prescription drug check. They do have a height and weight table that is in this fact sheet, which is kind of like a snapshot of everything. You'll find that it's very generous. It's very rare that somebody's going to be rated up for weight. And we use Aptical to underwrite. So no matter whether you're doing, even if you're going to write the paper application and do a phone call to Aptical, let's say you don't have service wherever you are, so you can't do e-app. You're still going to get an instant decision. No matter which form of application you choose to do, you're still going to get that instant decision. So that's really nice to know before you leave the house what's going on. Accelerated death benefit feature, we go up to 50%. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry for asking you so many questions.
No, please do.
If you call an app tool, they say, okay, your client is approved for level coverage, just like that. Then you send the paper app in, all right? And is underwriting then going to override what Aptical told you, or are they going to go ahead with the decision that Aptical will get?
That's a great question. So 99% of the time, the Aptical decision is final. And let me tell you something, that can go either way. So sometimes agents don't like that the Aptical decision is final, right? So if they get rated up, don't send it to the underwriter, because they're not going to change the decision unless there's like really something going on. But if it's like, oh, they have this condition, I really think they should be level. If Aptical said they were graded or modified, we're not going to change it. On the flip side of that, there's probably 1% of cases that underwriting has to randomly audit and pull back just to make sure that the underwriting that Aptical is doing is consistent with what we require. So have I ever seen an underwriter pull it back and change the decision? Yeah, I have. Does it happen every day, all day? Absolutely not. They don't have time for it. So, I mean, it's probably 1%. And if they do it, there's usually an underlying reason for it. So, and what I mean by that is, let's say it's a telephone interview, and you've got somebody on the line who hesitated or changed their answer. That's going to flag, you know, when the underwriters submit these interview scripts, it puts a little flag on there that when it runs through the filters that our underwriters look at on their daily reports, they're going to pull that case out and they're going to say, maybe we should take a second look at this. So I can't say that it's never going to happen. It's going to be a very rare occurrence. Usually your decision at the point of sale, you can take it to the bank.
So the majority of cases that the underwriter's looking at are the paper apps.
No.
Majority that are doing. Do you have to do a telephone interview with an e-app?
No, absolutely not. No. That's the beauty of e-app, is it is straight through processing. I mean, it flows right in.
But you have to do a telephone interview.
Yeah, you do have to do that. If you don't do it at the point of sale, our new business department will call it, order it, and then Aptical has to call your client, and it's a dead sale.
The e-app, the one e-app I did was pretty good because it was dual notation. And it popped up.
It'll
and said,
re-ask the question.
You know, are they taking it for the question on the app? And it put no, and it went through. And
it's a very good point. It's a very intuitive.
It was nice that it had that. And it
so, on your drug list, you will see there are several medications that have two decisions, you know, and it's based on what the use is. And the e-app uses this drug list. It's all piped in. You know, the whole database is built around this.
So even if you have an agent order, you still have to submit the first paper app?
No, you can do e-app the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you get your welcome letter, your welcome email, there's a link to Aptical and your login credentials. So you can start with e-app. You don't need to start with paper. Good question. So just to recap, level, graded, and modified pretty much work the same on, you know, on all accounts here. So we don't kind of change things based on the plan type. We don't change commissions. We don't change issue ages. So really the only difference between the level, the graded, and the modified, apart from the premiums, right, are how the death benefit pays. So with your level plan, that's your day one coverage. So from the first day of coverage, as soon as the policy is effective, as soon as they've made that first payment, they are eligible for their full face amount. With the graded plan, much like many others, it is a 30-70. So it's going to pay them a 30% of their face amount benefit in year one. In year two, that goes up to 70%. Now, here's where we get different, is on our modified. So our modified is a return of premium, but we annualize their return of premium. So let's just say, God forbid, they die in month one of their policy on a modified plan. We were not going to return to them that 1 month of premium that they paid us plus a 10%. We're going to annualize. So whatever their annual premium is what we're going to refund to their family with a 10% on top of that. In year two, that goes up to 31%. So 231% of their annual premium. Big difference in benefit. Big difference. So this will help you sell a modified plan to someone who's had some, maybe they had cancer 2 years ago, you know, whatever the case is.
On the app, like, and I know it's not listed here, but I know some carriers have, like, in each section, like, it says if any question is answered yes, can they answer yes to more than one question and still get coverage? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because some have a limit to the amount of questions.
It doesn't work like that. Okay. Once you get, as long as it's not a knockout. So if it's in Part A, then of course that's a knockout. Yeah. But if you have two answers to a Part B or C question, they're not a double, you know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It's
Yeah,
not a double
it's not-
graded
yeah.
or a double. It doesn't kick them up to the next level.
Okay.
Okay, so good question. Very good. Was there one back here? Okay, good question. So yeah, so that's really the huge difference on our plans is that modified benefit, annualizing it. That's a huge benefit to somebody who can't qualify for a level. Okay, so the way the app is structured, and this is the same, the paper app, the e-app, voice signature. Anybody doing telesales at all? Okay, all right, good. Well, I mean, not that you can choose whatever you want to do. It's not good or bad. We offer a telesales product. So with New Vista, you can sell it over the phone. So if there's like a blizzard and like you just can't get there, but they still want to buy a plan, or God, they had a medical emergency, who knows what the case may be, but you can sell over the phone if you want to. So the way it works is you're going to look at, it's a step down approach. So your first set of questions, part A, are going to be your declines. It's going to move into your modified questions. That's part B. Your graded are part C. And if you get through all of those and they're answered no, then they qualify hopefully for a level. I caveat this because you need to look at your prescription list. That can determine them going up or down. Even if they say, I don't have COPD, but our prescription list says their inhaler is prescribed for COPD, they're going to get a graded plan. So you need to know this before you start talking numbers with them. You need to check the list against all their prescriptions. Even the prescriptions that their doctor prescribed that they decided they just wanted to stop taking,
Right.
Guess what? Script Check knows they will prescribe those medications. It knows when the last time they filled it. Those Script Check reports are like 100 pages long most of the time. You would not believe the stuff that's in there that they forgot about or they are not telling you about. So check their drugs. And then of course check the height and weight plan because that could rate up too. All right, this is they're gonna be super small. So if you have that application in front of you, you might wanna follow along on it. These are our knockout questions. So I'll just take you back to the very first question on the app. Has the proposed insured smoked cigarettes in the past 12 months? That's a yes or no question. Have they smoked cigarettes? It's going to ask you to state their height and weight. And again, this is a copy of the paper app. It's laid out exactly the same way on the e-app. It just formatting is a little different. So then it's going to move into your actual health questions. So if they have been in the last 30 days hospitalized, committed to a psychiatric facility, if they've been in jail, this is not specifically listed here, but we don't cover people that are currently in jail. We get that question a lot, believe it or not. I'm like, are you meeting with them in jail? Like, how are you selling to somebody in jail? I can't figure it out. If they're confined to a wheelchair due to a disease, or really, that's kind of a looser question, it's any kind of medical condition. If they've had an accident and they're in a wheelchair, that's not a knockout. But if they've had a stroke and they're in a wheelchair, it is a knockout. So I try to clarify.
A quadriplegic for an accident, and that's not.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, as long as it's not a medical condition or disease. Or if they're waiting for an organ transplant, I'm gonna just stop right there, because if they've had an organ transplant, a lot of carriers won't take them. We will. As long as you check their drug list, check the drug list of any medications they're taking, and it hasn't been in the last 30 days, most of the time we can cover kidney transplants and things like that. They might go graded based on medications, but that's a big one. But only if they're waiting, it's a knockout. Do they require human assistance with their ADLs? That's a big one. That's pretty standard. In the last 12 months, have they been advised to have a diagnostic test other than HIV for which results are not yet known? They would want to wait until those tests have been completed. Are they on oxygen? That's a knockout. Are they having kidney dialysis, AIDS or HIV, ALS, Alzheimer's, dementia, cirrhosis of the liver stage C? That's also a knockout. We can cover stages A and B. You'll see that in the next set of questions. Or have they been diagnosed with more than one occurrence of any form of cancer? So more than one. So if they've had one, they can still go modified, but if they've had more than one, it's a knockout.
Over what period of time?
So that one particularly that's an ever question. If they've ever had more than one.
Okay.
Okay. Good question.
Is that any type of cancer? Cancer?
Excluding the basal cell squamous skin, yeah. The little moles that we get cut off, those don't count. Good question.
Unless it's melanoma.
Yeah, if it's melanoma, that's a different story. So that's going to take you, so that's it on the knockout list. Part B is going to be your modified questions. So it sends you your login credentials. You already have it. If you got contracted like 3 years ago, you may not have been sent those credentials right away. So if it's been that long, let us know and we will get those for you. Google Chrome, they were telling us for the first 2 years that was the only supported browser. So like if you're using an iPad that defaults to Safari, you had to download Chrome. Now they're saying it actually doesn't matter. You can use Safari if you want to. That's new. Like in the last couple weeks, that's new. Still think Chrome might be your better bet. If you're having some technical issues, number one cause of technical problems is going to be, have you updated your tablet? If you're not on the latest software, iOS software, you will have problems, like without a doubt. So you need to be using a full-size iPad or tablet or a laptop computer. This is not going to work on your smartphone. It's just not big enough to like support the entire display. You won't see the buttons. It'll be a disaster. Don't try it. And people still will try it, believe me. First question I ask, what kind of device are you using? And then just to recap, the e-application cannot be used for non-face-to-face. So if you're not sitting in front of your client to where they can sign on that screen, you can't use e-app. We do offer a telesales product for that purpose. So quoting, so under the, it's really small here, but under the application menu, once you get logged in, you can either choose new application or rate calculator. I always recommend run your rates first, check their drugs first, know what they're applying for. Nobody wants to get a rated up decision unexpectedly. Nobody wants that. It's going to kill your sale. It's also going to red flag us. Yeah, we want you to use this tool, but don't let it be your starting point. Do your underwriting first. If you get a bunch of withdrawns, applications, e-applications after you get a decision, or a bunch of declines, and when I say a bunch, like if you're consistently doing that, we will give you a call and say, because it might be free for you guys to use this, but we actually get a bill every time you hit start the application. So I'll caveat with that, just use it wisely. We want you to use it, but just don't use it in lieu of actually asking a few health questions first, please.
You're saying the FES calculator is not accurate, or
no, rate calculators are fully accurate on all the sites. Okay. Yeah, we just don't want you to start the application and click level every time, because you want to see if you can, you haven't checked their drug list, you haven't done your field underwriting at that point. That's all we're saying. Okay. And we'll call you. We're not just going to terminate you. We'll call you and say, hey, I just want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need. We're going to train you before we make any drastic decisions. But if you abuse it, I think we have terminated somebody for abusing it before. So once you're ready to go, so you'll fill in all their demographic information, click calculate, and then you're going to have 3 plan options. So based on what you already know at that point, you're going to select the correct plan for that client and then hit create application. And if you've already done the rate calculator, it'll actually just proceed right past this screen. This is only if you actually just start with new application. You'll just fill in, company is always Prosperity Life SUSA, product is New Vista e-app, and then the state that you're selling in. And then the rate calculator just takes you back to what you already saw. We do offer Go Green, which is an e-delivery of your policy documents. If your clients are tech savvy, if you're in that younger market and they're 50 to 59, they might want their policy e-delivered. You never know. It's optional. You can choose to use it or not. So it's going to follow the layout of the paper app. So it's going to ask for their basic information, name, address, date of birth. A couple of things I want to point out here we get a lot of questions about. So proposed insured must be a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident. So they must be a citizen or have a green card. And they must have a social security number. We can't take an I-10 number. We're not there yet. And everything's marketed in English only at this point. At some point, we'll get a Spanish app filed and we'll go down that path, but we're not there yet.
How are you checking up on that? For example, if you have someone that says they're a U.S. citizen that really aren't.
So we use a service called LexisNexis to validate their identity. Most of the time, if they were not a U.S. citizen, they wouldn't have a social security number, and it would kick it out in here at that point. So, good question. It's going to ask you to fill in their height and weight here on this very first page as well. At the bottom of the screen, you're always going to see this previous, next, and stop. So most of the time you're just going to click next to proceed, but the stop button, if you needed to stop and put it in pending for any reason, like they just needed to go get their medications, or they just want to think about it, or I don't know. If for any reason, if you need to stop, you can actually put the application in pending, and it'll sit there for you. There we go. The first signature event is going to be the HIPAA authorization. It will ask you to do this first before it goes into the medical questions, as we have to get their authorization before we can go out to MIB, script check, all those databases. So basically the way it works is it's going to tell you who it's waiting for. So your client's name will be listed here. It'll say, you'll click the button that says sign, and just follow these big blue buttons. If anybody's ever used DocuSign to do like a mortgage closing or anything like that, it's the same thing. It's called HelloSign. It looks exactly the same as DocuSign, so it's super easy. Just click Get Started, click to sign. You can tap the screen, just insert a signature. You can use your finger and draw it. It's very easy to use. So from here, it's going to go right into the health questions. They are worded identically to the ones we just looked at from the paper application. So they're yes/no answers. Anything in Part A is actually, if you answer yes, it's going to stop you. It's going to say, oh, knock out, your client's declined, they don't qualify. So everything in Part A, yes, no. That's why you'll see these little exclamation points, because that means if there's a different answer given, it's a knockout. So make sure you read the questions very carefully. Once you get through all the questions, you're going to click OK to start what's called Pure Service. This is the underwriting software that actually reaches out to those different databases to collect the information to give you that instant decision. So click OK. At this point, before you click OK, please make sure you have reviewed the spelling of their name, their date of birth, their social, because if you miskeyed that stuff, it will kick it out on the LexisNexis identity check. And then you're going to have to go back and get documents to validate who they are. So just be very careful with typos are the #1 reason those fail. So you click OK, it'll take like 45 seconds probably to give you a decision. You'll see the little thing spinning. If there's a dual purpose drug that comes up, it's going to have, just like you mentioned, the 2 questions that say what is this drug being used for? If there's information, or it may re-ask the question that's associated. So sometimes you'll get a re-ask. It's okay, don't panic. Just answer the question the way you did the first time. You don't need to change. It's not asking you to change the answer. It's just asking you to confirm so it knows how to treat that dual purpose medication. And then you should get your decision. So it will either say, the proposed insured is eligible for the level of graded modified plan, whatever they initially applied for, if they're approved, or if there is, something that's found that rates them up, it will say, your client was approved for graded, do you wish to proceed? And at that point, you can actually go back to the rate calculator if you need to adjust the premium amount. So if they can't afford that graded plan, you can go back and modify the face amount at this point so that you don't have to do an amendment later. So any modifications are made right here on the spot.
Does it give you any information as to why they got rated up?
Yeah, it'll usually tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll tell you the drug that was found. Unless it's something that's like considered confidential. And sometimes it'll just say, due to confidential medical history. But normally it'll tell you the drug.
Okay.
Yeah, normally it will. So once everybody is happy with their policy amounts, premium amounts, everything is good to go, you'll just click yes to proceed through this. It's going to ask you to confirm the policy amount like 3 times, just to make sure that you know which plan you're selling. You're going to enter in your beneficiary information. EAP will let you do up to 3 primary beneficiaries and up to 3 contingent. If you need to add more later, customer service is happy to add as many as they'd like.
Are you allowed to put in there per stirpies?
I'm sorry, what?
Per stirpies, in other words, just pass to dependents equally?
I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, I think at a minimum you're going to have their name and.
I mean, I've been in a house where they have 9 children and they want to split it between all 9.
We can do that. We just can't do it at the point of sale.
Okay.
Okay. I guess that's the point I want to kind of make here is that you can do up to 3 beneficiaries on this primaries and split it 3 ways or 2 ways or whatever they want to do. But if there's more than that, you're going to have to add them in later. So it's going to ask you to review all their premium and billing information. This is where you'll select their payment term. This is where you'll select if they want to bill Social Security billing. That's going to be an option here. So what you want to select is it'll be either checking account, savings account, direct express, and then the next question is your client receiving a Social Security benefit, yes or no? So that's your key. If you want to sync that payment up to Social Security billing, click yes on that one. Couple things to note, future payments, we can go up to 35 days from the date of the application. I will caution you on this if they're paying by direct express. Yes, we give you that window, feel free to use it. So if they're EFT draft, bank draft, we're going to do a penny test to their account to make sure that we got the right routing and account number. So we'll forget this case.
Thank you.
Bless you. If they're paying by direct express, we tried to do a penny test for the first year, and guess what? They didn't have a penny most of the time. So all those cases got kicked out and didn't get issued. So we stopped doing a penny test on direct express. So we don't test the account until the day we're supposed to bill. So if you're 1 digit off on that card number and you're at day 35, guess what? You got to start over from scratch because you only get 35 days from the day of the application. So I say keep it in mind when you're talking about dates. Give yourself a little leeway time. So if you have to send new business a new card number, at least we have a day or 2 to process it for you. So yeah, we can do the same day every month. So if they're still working, they're getting paid on the 15th of the month or whatever, you can set it up that way. Just say no to Social Security. But if they are on Social Security billing, that's really important to make sure you can check that box. If you don't check that box, we're still going to bill them on the 3rd unless it's a non-business day, and then we're going to default to the next business day. So that's really what Social Security billing means, is that instead of defaulting to the next business day, we actually go backwards a day. If you're splitting commissions, so let's say 2 guys are out riding together in the field, or ladies, there is a second agent space here. You can key in their agent number and percentage. And then, of course, any additional comments, I don't know, client wants to add 9 more beneficiaries, whatever the comments are, you can put them in and then click next.
I don't remember on the Social Security billing whenever I did it, but does it give you the option to pick the day or the 3rd Wednesday or whatever like that, or does it automatically pull the information based on?
So you will either select a recurring day, so 1st, 3rd, 5th, whatever day. Mm-hmm. Or you can do a Wednesday bill date. If it's a Wednesday bill date, they actually don't pick which Wednesday they get deposited on, okay? It's based on their date of birth.
Right.
So if you select Wednesday, we're going to drive it by their date of birth. Let me back up. By the payor's date of birth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if the account holder doesn't match the payor of the plan, you need to think that through. So it's the payor's date of birth.
So now, what if, sorry,
I
actually had this happen before. What if it's like a survivor, survivor benefit? Because the birth date it should have been the 1st Wednesday, but it was a survivor benefit, so it was the 3rd Wednesday. Right. Is there a way to submit something to you guys later to change that? Because what I had happen was they contacted me to verify, hey, you know, maybe her birth date, you put the birth date wrong. I said, no, it is. I found out at Survivor, let them know. The company was fine with that. So I didn't know if you guys
Survivor, was it their name on the bank account we were drafting? Or
no, it wasn't you guys. So no, like against the survivor benefit. So someone's, it was her husband's Social Security, and she was getting it on his
date of birth.
Because, but he was passed away.
Right.
So he was getting it based on his date of birth, but she was getting it, and it was her account.
Yeah, I've run into that too.
And it's only happened to me once.
Yeah, those are going to be really rare occurrences.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't know what you guys may do for it.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb is we're going to look at whoever's listed as the account holder or the payor. And if that's the wife, we're going to look at her birth date to determine. It's not going to be based on. So to your point, you
can't manually change it.
We can't. We just can't change it. It's system driven.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't just pick a Wednesday. It's literally going to look at the payor's date of birth.
Okay.
So you're going to have a conflict every now and then on that.
Okay. I was just curious if you guys.
I don't know how you would get around it, to be honest.
I don't know what they did. I mean, it was Transamerica. I don't know what they did to actually change it. But
they were never going to get that case issued anyway.
Oh, actually, well, yeah. It was before they changed everything. Yeah. And that was the 2.5-hour round trip because I forgot one signature on it.
Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It was painful.
Okay, so final signatures. It's going to have one more signature ceremony. It's going to collect your owner, proposed insured signatures, and your signature as the agent. So one more signature ceremony. Again, you can just click to insert a signature. You can actually draw it with your finger. And then the very last step, and I can't tell you how many people forget to do this. They get so excited after they review this application, they forget to click finish. We are actually working on building notifications if you forget to click finish to remind you to click finish, because it's really sad when these happen. So click finish to actually submit the application through. Everything goes through electronically. So at this point, you have reviewed a copy of the policy. It is stored in the Aptical Live App portal. So if you need to pull up a copy, it's in your portal at your fingertips. New business will get this the next business day. We don't get it same day. So if you're like, you submit the application, you go back to your agent portal and you're like, where's my application? Well, give it a little time. It runs from Aptical to new business, so home office, one business day, and then the next business day we push it out to your agent portal. So 2 business days to see it in your agent portal. But don't worry, by then it'll probably be issued. So again, back to Live App Portal, you go to Application Search. I always say just fill in the company name, Prosperity USA, and you'll see a list of every case you've ever submitted. It's the easiest filter option. Or you can search by their name, date of birth, whatever you want to do. So paper app, pretty easy process on that. If you do need to use paper application, just make sure you fill it out in its entirety, all the pages, front and back, get all the signatures. You can email or fax that to new business. Make sure you do your telephone interview at the point of sale, though. I will tell you that's if we have to order the Aptical interview, it's such a rare occurrence. We actually get people on the phone.
Is it required? So they're going to require the phone interview?
If you don't do it at the point of sale, we'll do it. We'll order it on the back end. Yeah, and that does slow things down. All right, so I'm going to keep you guys much longer, but I do just want to briefly touch on our prime term, and this is in your packets too. So this is what we are calling our almost guaranteed issue plan. So this is a graded death benefit term policy. It's renewable to age 100. We sell it as young as age 40 up to age 80, okay? It's a 20-year term. It renews after the 20th year, but the benefit starts to decrease at 21 plus, at years 21 plus, and you'll see an illustration of this in a second. So this is going to be, this is priced like a graded plan, very similar to a graded plan. But this is going to be for your less than healthy, folks that have had some health conditions, but you'll see the caveat when we go through the health questions as to how they'll qualify. So again, this gives them protection up to age 100. The premiums don't change, just you'll see that in year 21 the actual benefit face amount starts to come down. Similar application process. We don't have an e-application yet. This is a newer plan that we've rolled out, so we think e-application is probably still a year away or so. We can do paper, or you can sell it over the phone. So we do have a voice signature process. If you just don't want to do paper, you can do a face-to-face voice signature process. So treat it like any app. Still does require a telephone interview, but nonetheless, paperless. So again, ages 40 to 80, the ADB rider goes up to age 74, just like New Vista. Face amounts, 5,000 to 30,000, so a little bit narrower of a window there. It's not smoker distinct, so this is great for your smoking clients. The rates are just uni-smoke. They are male or female. Premiums are based on issue age and gender only. They're fixed throughout the lifetime of the contract, and there is some cash value accumulation. Yes, I said term. It's crazy. I don't know how they did it, but they figured it out. Recurring premiums, same options as New Vista.
Take Direct Express?
Yes.
Okay.
Same options. No policy fee. No policy fee. That's a big one. So there are 3 knockout questions. It's pass or fail, accept, reject, based on 3 questions. We do look at MIB, we do look at prescription drug check, but when you see the questions, you'll understand that those really don't play as critical of a role anymore once you see the health questions. Again, same Aptical point of sale process, so it's either paper application with a phone call to Aptical. The interview is super short because there's 3 health questions, or you could do the voice signature process. So let's take a look at the health questions. Within the past, so typical knockout, within the past 2 years, have you been confined or been advised by a licensed medical professional to be in a nursing home, have hospice, extended care, special treatment? Are you on oxygen? Do you need help with your ADLs? This is a basic knockout question. I'm going to skip down to number 3. Have you been advised by a doctor that your life expectancy is less than 24 months? Sorry, we can't cover you. Question 2, though, this is where it gets interesting. Within the past 2 years, have you been diagnosed, key word, diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, strokes, Alzheimer's, dementia, or have you undergone major organ transplant surgery? If your diagnosis for 3 out of those 5 diseases was 3 years ago, you qualify. You can be treated for all of these conditions all at the same time and still qualify, as long as your diagnosis. And how do we figure that out? Well, when we look at the prescription history, we look at the first fill date, right? We look at when that prescription was first filled. If you're still taking it 3 years later, you qualify. Does that make sense? That's why we're calling it almost guaranteed.
So you could have somebody with current cancer?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as the diagnosis was over 2 years ago. Yeah, that's it. We don't ask about current treatment. Right. We just ask when the diagnosis was. So there's a big market for this plan. It's a big market. We're pretty excited about it.
And the Aptical's an instant decision too?
Instant decision, okay. Yeah. And there's only 1 plan type, so you're either approved or declined. So death benefit, how does it work? So again, face amounts are going to range anywhere from 5,000 to 30,000. Year 1 is going to be a return of premium, annualized. Again, we like to annualize the return of premiums, plus 15%, so that's year 1. Years 2 and 3 get a little complicated. We do kind of structure it based on their age at issue. So you can look at the grid there too, the 30 or 40% in year 2, or 60 or 70% in year 3. And then years 4 through 20, so as long as they live past those first 3 years, they're going to get their full face amount. And then, like I said, at year 21, after the year 20, it goes down 5% each year. So a little chart to help illustrate that. So here's your male age 65 with a $20,000 plan. His annual premium is $1,758. You'll see in year 1, his death benefit is $2,000. Year 2, it goes up to $6,000. Year 3, $12,000. Years 4 through 20. And let me tell you something. If your client is applying for this, they're probably not going to live through
that's what I was thinking.
They're probably not going to live to years 21.
Yeah.
How do the premiums compare to just a regular guaranteed issue plan with another carrier?
Probably a little better. Okay. A little better. I'm not an expert on what other plans cost.
Understood.
I'm just not.
Didn't know.
I wish I was.
Roughly.
They're going to be comparable or a little better. Okay. Again, this is a male 65. He's got a $20,000 plan. We don't care if he's a smoker or not. but his AP is $1,700, so just over $100 a month.
Maybe I missed it on the previous presentation and this presentation. Pacemaker, how do y'all deal with that?
If they've had that surge, like the insert of it within the last 3 years, then they would go modified. After that, I think
So
they
it's a
would go
3-year
level.
look back on it.
Yes.
Okay, on the pacemaker.
Yeah. Let me make sure I'm telling you the right, because they jump from 2 to 3 years.
What, don't those batteries run out?
After 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, what if they are getting had gotten the battery replaced?
2 years. I'm sorry, it's 2 years.
What if,
In other words, the guy plan to have it done a year ago, and he would still get a modified plan at that point. Okay.
Yeah, more than likely. I'd check it with the underwriters before I would commit to that, but I'd say it's safe to assume.
what if it's to replace a battery in the surgery, but the install of the actual pacemaker was, 10 years ago, whatever?
That's going to be more in your 30-day. Like, have they had surgery in the last 30
okay.
days?
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, people get pacemakers. My wife has a pacemaker. She doesn't get a new pacemaker every 7 or 8 years.
Exactly.
You get a battery change
Right.
and then an upgrade after 15
Yes.
or 20 years. So
Yeah.
make sure you ask questions. Okay, you had a pacemaker. Did you just get the battery
Yes.
changed? Or did you get the whole new unit put in? They'll
Right.
be able to tell you.
Right. Good point on that. So similar advantages as New Vista. When we first rolled this product out a little over a year ago, we said no advancing. We weren't comfortable enough saying we would advance, so it was all paid as earned. 3 months ago, we changed that. So at the end of last year, we said, you know what? We had our actuaries look at it again. We really want to sell this product, but we're afraid agents won't touch it if there's no advancing. So now we're advancing up to 6 months, and we pay it after the first draft. So we've loosened up on that, which is great. Still the same Social Security billing available, all the same great payment options as New Vista, qualifies for a quarterly sales bonus. So I would highly recommend that you add this to your portfolio because I think there's a real good market for it. Real good market for it.
Contact you guys to get apps sent and stuff like that?
Yeah, if you're already contracted, they're in your portal. Your upline might need to add the product to you if you're not seeing it.
Yeah, if you're interested in this, email me.
Yeah.
Then they do different contracts. So it used to be separate, but now I think it's combined. So if you
It's
don't
combined,
have
but the product type is still there.
Yeah.
So you can just click an add.
right, yeah, just let me know if you're interested. I'll get
Commissions are less on this, so I don't want to say that they're exactly the same as New Vista. They are going to be probably 25 to 30% lower on this particular plan.
It's definitely competitive rate.
How competitive the AIG is it?
That would be like 146 a month.
Mm-hmm.
AIG, at least in
For
Virginia.
65-year-old males, 184.
184.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me caveat, product is not available in quite as many states. Virginia wouldn't approve it, North Carolina, South Carolina wouldn't approve it.
Thanks for all that work,
Breaks
though, man. I appreciate
my
that.
heart. We have it in almost all the same states, but I'll tell you the big ones are North and South Carolina and Virginia that did not approve that product. They don't like it. They can't figure it out. It's a term product. It has cash value.
Yeah.
It's just different.
So it's not available in South Carolina?
It's not.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. It is in Tennessee.
I'm in Kentucky, so like I'm good.
There is a rate guide in here for Prime Term 102. So if you want to look at rates, there's your rate guide.
Do you have those packets here today?
So I packed as many as would fit in my suitcase.
Okay.
So I think I brought maybe 15 of them or 20 of them.
And you've handed them all out? Or?
Yeah, but here you go. Because I was just using this one for an example.
Okay, thank you.
If you guys see paper materials, or if you want us to mail you a kit like this, here's our contact information. I get copied on every one of these agent care emails, so I'll see. I don't respond to every single one. I actually have good employees to do that for us. So, but that's our telephone number, email address. I'm going to leave business cards. I'm going to leave these really nice big leave behinds. If you guys want to take a few of these with you, more than welcome to have those. And also brought a few shirts. I'm gonna let David raffle those off.
Okay, sure.
Whenever you guys want to. And thank you guys.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's take 5 minutes before we get Steven started up here. So.
I know. I was pumped up about that.
And they're long, so they're kind of similar.
That was going to be a great option.
I know.